Understand here in Ohio all too well the pain and suffering caused by heroin, fentanyl, diverted prescription pills, and other opioids. And just last week, the CDC put out preliminary data that says that more than 72,000 of our relatives, our friends, and our neighbors died of a drug overdose last year. And more than two-thirds of those, 49,000, were due to opioids. In Ohio, we've suffered immeasurably from this. Only California, Florida, and Pennsylvania, all states with significantly higher populations, had more overdose deaths than Ohio, according to last week's report. And in this U.S. Attorney's Office, we are actively engaged in the search to find sustainable solutions to this problem. As Attorney General Sessions will detail, we are attacking this problem on multiple fronts. One of those fronts is to dismantle the on-ramp to addiction by targeting doctors who irresponsibly overprescribe. Another front is to prosecute multi-million-dollar global trafficking organizations that send huge amounts of deadly drugs from China into the United States and around the world. On these fronts and many more, we are working tirelessly, and we are using every tool we have at our disposal. Throughout much of this year, we have seen promising declines in both total overdoses and fatal overdoses in many parts of this state. But just in recent weeks, here in Greater Cleveland, we have seen a surge in deaths. And those victims range in age from 26 to 72. It is easy to get lost in numbers and to forget that each one of those deaths is a missing seat at a dinner table, at Christmas or Thanksgiving or a birthday, and those holidays will never be the same. It's a reminder we must remain vigilant in our efforts. You know, in recent years, it has become fashionable to say that we cannot arrest our way out of this problem. And in this office, we have worked with our schools, our PTAs, our faith leaders, and other community partners to try to reduce the demand for these drugs. There is a place for our hospitals to change prescribing practices, and there is certainly a place for healthcare and social service groups who provide treatment to those struggling with addiction. And yes, as today's announcements will make clear, there is absolutely a place for enforcement. To those doctors who would betray the trust of their patients and their profession, to those online dealers of poison who think they can hide behind the anonymity of the dark web, we say to you, you are part of the problem, we will find you, and we will bring you to justice. Before introducing the Attorney General, I'd just like to take a moment to thank the men and women of the United States Attorney's Office and law enforcement. They have worked so hard on these cases that he will announce. They have worked with numerous federal, state, and local law enforcement partners quietly and for many months and under great pressure in order to deliver these results to our community. They have our enduring gratitude, and fortunately for us, they're going right back to work on even more cases. And that is a sentiment I know is shared by our speaker here today, the 84th Attorney General of the United States. Put simply, General Sessions loves the United States Department of Justice, and he loves the men and women who work for it and work every day to uphold their values. He is a former Assistant U.S. Attorney and a former United States Attorney. For him, the department and the work of law enforcement is demonstrative of his collaborative commitment to reducing crime, and we know that those are fundamental to his experience, his outlook, and his resolve. So it is my honor to introduce to you my boss and a friend of law enforcement, the Attorney General of the United States, Jeff Sessions.
Hey, thank you. Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Justin, and I appreciate you and your leadership, which is fabulous. It's really outstanding for your 8 years of service to the Department of Justice, as well as in the Air Force, Navy Reserve, and as an Assistant United States Attorney in Manhattan. Bless you for that. And really this entire team here that's done extraordinary work. And I wanted to be here to come back to Ohio to emphasize how important what's happening here, how it replicates and carries out the very mission that we have. And I think you've done some extraordinary things, and we can get this done all over the country. We're going to have really important improvements in what's happening. So we are fighting the opioid epidemic. I started as a drug prosecutor in the 70s. And then came as United States Attorney in the 80s. We never saw deaths like this. Nothing close to this. The purity, the danger of these drugs is unprecedented. But before we get started, I'd like to thank the leadership team of mine standing behind us today. Jesse Panuccio to my left. Jesse is our acting Associate Attorney General, number 3 in the department, and has our civil activities under him. Brian Benchkowski on the right is our newly confirmed, after over a year of waiting by the Senate, head of the Criminal Division. Chad Radler, our acting head of the Civil Division. Chad is a proud native of Ohio, a former partner at Jones Day in Columbus, served for 3 branches of government in Ohio in an appointed capacity, and it's been great to have him on our team. So I want to thank all of our federal officers who are here, who do so much to fight drug trafficking in Ohio and across state lines, even international lines. And our state and local people, our federal officers we want to mention: Timothy Plancon of DEA, Steve Francis of Homeland Security Investigations, First Assistant U.S. Attorney David Sirlarge, I believe. Dave, good to see you back there. Thank you for your 30 years of service, and I understand you'll be leaving us, and we thank you for that service and your dedication to your work. And while we are inexpressibly proud of our fabulous federal officers, and we include our Homeland Security ICE officers too. These are fabulous officers. They do tough work every day. They need the support of the people of this country, and they surely have it in the Department of Justice. But we understand that 85% of law enforcement officers in this country are state and local. I want to thank all of you that are here today, our state and local officers. You are the ones on the streets every day providing the security and provide the forces that reduce crime in America and make our country safe. I want to mention our FBI detail, Jim Asher, member. He's with us today. His uncle, Vu Na Nguyen, died recently, long-term member of the police department. He was so popular in this area, and I think he symbolized what good law officers are like all over this country, dedicating their lives to public safety, and we back them 100%. Our goals at the department are to reduce crime, to reduce homicides, to reduce prescriptions of opioid addictive drugs, and to reduce overdose deaths. I mean, we explicitly are focusing on that. Not so much how many people are convicted, but to bring down crime and death. As one part of the President's plan, we have set an ambitious goal, or he has, of reducing opioid prescriptions by 1/3 in 3 years. According to the National Prescription Audit, over the past year, we reduced prescriptions by 11%. That's in addition to 7% in 2017. We are making real progress. We continue to do so. And while 2017 saw a continuing increase in overdose deaths over 2016, the most recent data shows a possible leveling off of overdose deaths. We are determined to do all we can to reduce these deaths. We've got a lot of work to do. We're beginning to see some progress, and we're going to continue to step up our efforts in every way possible. So over the past year, I sent 10 more prosecutors to Ohio, our 2 U.S. attorneys' offices. One of those is dedicated exclusively to prescription drug fraud. 2 focus on fighting the trafficking of synthetic drugs, the fentanyl drugs. And I believe that the more prosecutors will make us more effective. Before I say anything else, I want to remind everyone, and I believe this strongly, that the defendants in these cases and in every case are innocent until proven guilty. The allegations I will present today are just that, allegations, but it's important to talk about the status of these cases. So today I'm here with a series of dramatic announcements by this district that reveal the determination of this Department of Justice to take strong action to combat the grip of death and destruction that has taken hold of our country. And in particular, I want to celebrate this office's aggressive leadership to turn the tide. 6 months ago, I announced the department's prescription interdiction and litigation task force, PIL, pretty good name, I think, which coordinates our criminal and civil actions to fight the opioid crisis at every level of the supply chain, from manufacturers to distributors to doctors, pharmacies, and street dealers and gangs. President Trump has directed me to take civil action against drug companies when it is warranted by law, and we will do so. I will also bring criminal charges in any of these cases that's appropriate. So today, thanks to the task force, I'm announcing the first ever civil injunctions under the Controlled Substances Acts against doctors who the evidence indicates prescribed opioids illegally. These injunctions, really TROs, temporary restraining orders, will stop immediately doctors from prescribing drugs without waiting for perhaps a long time criminal prosecution. Both doctors in cases today are from northern Ohio. Dr. Michael Tricasso works in Akron and Plainsville and is accused of selling thousands of dollars worth of narcotics without legitimate medical purpose. He allegedly sold them to an undercover DEA agent in a hotel parking lot over a period of 3 months. These pills include Percocet. He also allegedly wrote prescriptions for an undercover DEA agent and 2 DEA sources for steroids and Percocet without legitimate medical purpose. The second doctor, Dr. Gregory Gerber of Sandusky, who the complaint alleges prescribed countless opioids without a legitimate medical purpose and who caused the submission of false claims to Medicare Part D prescription drug section. The complaint for the injunction, which has been granted by the judge, charges that he prescribed oxycodone to an undercover agent who never said she was in pain even. According to the allegations, Dr. Gerber allegedly ordered no test, performed only a minimal physical examination. This happened on 7 different occasions over 7 months. Eventually, he doubled the dosage units and strengths of the pills. The charges also allege that this doctor accepted $175,000 in kickbacks from a company that makes a fentanyl drug intended for cancer patients, a drug he prescribed to patients who did not have cancer. So we seek to deny these doctors the authority to continue prescribing drugs. In the lawsuit, we seek up to $700,000 in damages from Dr. Tricasso. Our initial estimates of Dr. Gerber's alleged false claims to Medicare total $2.8 million. So we will seek, as we always do, triple damages for the amount of fraud against the government. So my second announcement today is an important case involving Chinese fentanyl trafficking. Today I'm announcing a 43-count indictment by the Northern District of Ohio, their team, against the leaders of the Zhang drug trafficking organization. The indictment charges a man known by the alias of Gordon Jin and his father. These traffickers allegedly manufactured in China more than 250 types of synthetic drugs, including synthetic opioids and deadly fentanyl analogs that they distributed in the United States and around the whole world. Using an elaborate system of shell companies, the Zhang organization allegedly shipped synthetic opioids to locations in more than 25 countries and 35 states. The man who is charged with serving as the American reshipper for Zhang has already been arrested. He was caught while trying to flee the country and has pled guilty. Last April, a career drug dealer from Akron and his girlfriend were sentenced to a total of 30 years in prison for selling fentanyl that took the life of Thomas Rao of Akron. Shortly after his arrest, Ohio officers contacted the suppliers that he used online and then purchased fentanyl analogs from them. That led us straight to the Zhang organization. We now believe that the drugs that killed Thomas Rao and 23-year-old Carrie Dobbins originated with that Zhang operation. We also allege that the Zhang organization manufactured counterfeit drugs that purported to be Adderall and discussed manufacturing various trademarked cancer drugs that were fake. They actually were bath salts, we understand. Adulteration of medicine with synthetic drugs would, of course, be illegal in both the United States and China. As we fight this scourge, our law enforcement agencies will count on the continuing cooperation of China's Ministry of Public Security, and we will look to the government of China to schedule fentanyl-related substances as a class, as the United States has done. We need their help. We've been asking for it for months. We have a right as a trading partner and a nation that pretends to, seeks to be an advanced nation to work together on these kind of important issues. My third announcement arises from Operation Darkness Falls, a joint operation against the dark net fentanyl traffickers by the FBI, the IRS, our postal inspectors, Homeland Security investigations, and again, right here in the Northern District of Ohio. So today I'm announcing that Justin's office has just charged a husband and wife who at the time of their arrest were the most prolific dark net fentanyl vendor in the United States and the fourth most prolific on Earth. They were known online as MH for Life. Last July, the department seized Alpha Bay, which was the largest dark net marketplace in history. This site hosted some 200,000 drug listings and was responsible for countless synthetic overdoses, including the tragic death of a 13-year-old. MH4 Life allegedly used Alpha Bay and at least 8 other dark web sites to sell opioids and other deadly drugs. On one of their profiles, they advertised more than 3,000 completed sales. Undercover agents made controlled purchases through coordinated efforts with our postal inspectors. The packages they received were traced to a post office in San Antonio, and a woman mailing them was identified. She and her husband were observed carrying large bags of envelopes that matched the ones used to send drugs to undercover agents. Surveillance followed as she attempted to purchase hundreds of dollars of gift credit cards with cash, a tactic commonly used to launder money. Federal agents executed simultaneous search warrants on the hotel room and residence. They observed M holding suspected heroin, many pages of drug ledgers in both of the defendants' handwriting, encrypted electronic devices, passwords used for third-party payment websites. Agents also found drugs packaged for distribution, large quantities of cash, counterfeit currency, a gun, cryptocurrency, hard wallets. These are the kind of things that they found. Since then, no one has long logged on to this MH4 Life accounts, and no shipments have been sent. It appears it is now shut down. Operation Darkness Falls has also led us to indict 5 others here in this office. That includes a man who allegedly was the 3rd largest dark net fentanyl vendor in North America at the time of his arrest, a man known online as DF44. He was arrested with the help of our allies in Canada. A search warrant led to a fentanyl stash room that was right next to his daughter's playroom. After his arrest, he posted bond and then committed suicide. So we've also indicted a major Xanax dealer known online as The Source, or Bonnie N. Clyde. When he was arrested, we seized more than $438,000 in Bitcoin. Fourthly, the Northern District of Ohio team has obtained indictments of a darknet fentanyl dealer who ran his business in an apartment that was just down the street from Our Lady of the Lake Catholic School in Euclid. 2 weeks ago, he pled guilty and is due to be sentenced this fall. And lastly, a grand jury here indicted 2 other darknet fentanyl vendors, one of whom recently pled guilty and is expected to receive a 10-year sentence. So I want to remind the public once again that all of these defendants in all of these cases are innocent until proven guilty. And my statement are statements that are allegations that have to be proven in court. But let's make one thing clear. Today's announcements are a warning to every trafficker, every crooked doctor or pharmacist, every drug company, every chairman and foreign national and company that puts greed before the lives and health of the American people. This Justice Department, our United States attorneys around the country, will use the civil and criminal penalties alike, every tool we have, and we will put you in jail. We will make you pay. So Justin, you and your team are doing outstanding work for the people of Ohio. It's exactly what we want to see, exactly what we have to turn the tide we're facing today. Drug trafficking is an international business. The effects of these cases will be felt from coast to coast and really internationally. And so I want to close where I began by thanking the outstanding law officers who played a role in each one of these actions that I have announced today. Officers at the federal, state, and local levels in Ohio and across the country have made these cases possible. These cases may have saved lives already. These officers have shown us once again that no nation on earth has a finer group of law officers than we have in the United States. I'd like to mention one more thing before we leave. There's been a lot of news coverage around the activities at the Department of Justice of late. You're all aware of the public filings in various cases, and I'm not going to comment specifically. Those cases receive a lot of attention from you all. But this Department of Justice is focused on the priorities this president and the American people have given us. This opioid crisis took 72,000 lives last year. It's stunning. There's a crisis at our borders, which was brought into sharp focus yesterday when we learned of the tragedy of Molly Tibbetts and the man here illegally who's been charged with her murder. We have MS-13 terrorizing American communities, shootings in Chicago that continue to be far, far above where they should be, and a violent crime rate that was on the rise until the President Trump took office. These are our priorities. These are what our people are working on every day. No nation has finer officers, more dedicated officers, or more dedicated prosecution than we have in this country. And as Attorney General, it's been my true honor to have the opportunity to lead this fine team. Thank you all, and may God bless us and the United States of America. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you all. That will conclude our announcements for today. I really appreciate everyone coming for this, a series of very important announcements for our district. Thank you all. Appreciate it.